Hello, welcome back to Ben Sushi Live Nodding. In this episode, we're gonna try to create some kind of procedural water fountain. I always like the design of water fountain, and there are a lot of things that you can explore and you can actually study simply by looking at water fountain and think about how you can recreate some of the design. Here's the simple one, like the one that you often see. Um, yeah, and this one, even this one, try to recreate this kind of design using Blender, for example. It's kind of interesting. And look at this, the one that's colorful and then kind of shooting into the center. This is all kind of procedural problem. So let's try to make a simple one, something like this, but not as complicated. So yeah, let's just jump into it. I'm gonna be using Spreadchalk add-on for this procedural modeling. So let's call it SV Fountain. All right, so let's get started compositing. I will actually start simply by using cylinder. That's because this shape is looking pretty much like a cylinder, even though probably revolve will give you a nicer design. But cylinder is a nice one to look at procedural thinking. So cylinder, if you plug it in, you get a cylinder, and of course you can control the top and the bottom, and also how many divisions there. Um, you have options to turn on cap on and off, but in this case you want it to be on, but not on the top part. You want it on the bottom. So how do we fix this? We can use list item, and I think selecting the last polygon face and then invert it. So select the other. So that's our basins for our fountain, and that's actually pretty much it. I mean, if we want to have like this kind of level, multiple basins for the fountain, we probably need to think of ways to do that. But Spreadchalk already have a way to do that. So let's say if we have like a line that's kind of growing in the z-axis, plug it into the matrix, we can have something like that. But this is like the same basin for each one of them. So we don't want that. We want to have some kind of variations, like maybe the bottom parts stay as it is, but the top part's getting smaller and smaller. So that's also should be pretty easy. Use range float, count it, use a number, give it a number 5, plug into this guy and this guy, and this can go to the top part, and we should be able to control the size now. Yeah, all right, so something like that. It's almost like a flower, right? So we have our basins. It's probably slightly boring kind of fountain, but you get the idea. And I think that should be pretty much it. For this guy, so it's a procedural, right? So you can always kind of change the number and change the stepping. So that's the nice thing about it. For this, let's keep it simple. 5 or maybe 7. 7 good number. And merge it. So this is become a single object. I'll assign fluid obstacle. This is actually a very thin object. So use shell. And let's use icosphere. Center it, bring it up. This is fluid inflow object. Okay, let's use volume. Enable velocity. velocity, just give it a little bit shooting up. And then we need the domain. So domain, let's do that. And fluid domain, all right. And we also need the floor. For the floor, I'm gonna duplicate this guy and scale it a little bit, scale it out. This is gonna be the outflow. Then put it down there. So hopefully we have some kind of a looping fluid. So the fluid shoot up and it's gonna drops down. It's gonna be touching the obstacles. It looks like it's just simply dripping to the first one. So the thing with the fluid is we cannot really control like how much it's gonna emit. So maybe I can do this. Outliner. So it's really dependent on the actual size of this icosphere. So let's try this one more time. I have a feeling that I need to have some kind of thickness with this guy, but that's okay for now. Just select our cube domain and bake it again. This fountain is a bit crazy and it shoot out. So with looking at this, I have a feeling that our size is actually kind of wrong as well. Maybe our fountain is a bit too small for Blender fluid. So that's the thing with the fluid. So I'm gonna stop this. Try one more time, make this fluid a bit smaller, and then this domain, I should just call it domain. And you can always change the fluid world, the size in meters or smaller. And let's see how it looks. It's definitely gonna work better with a flip fluid. So this one also still kind of wrong. Make it smaller even. And bake it in. So this seems to be better, but shooting out too much. But it's kind of doing what we want. Stop it. Make the icosphere even smaller and shoot it a bit slower. I have a feeling that we can make this a bit bigger, something like that. So we just made a change to our obstacles. Procedurally this will work then. Okay, so it's filling up. Now it's doing its thing. Let's turn these obstacles kind of like a wire only. So it's gonna fill up and then should go to the next one and the next one, kind of like a wine glass on top of each other. So that's actually kind of nice thing to try. So wine glass tower. This is also something that you might want to try to create procedurally using SphereChop or animation nodes if you like. Yeah, it's a matter of stacking glass and then do a water simulations and just hoping that you're gonna get a nice result. So this is kind of alright. So at the end, hopefully the outflow is hopefully. So let me check. Yeah, the outflow is gonna take over, and this water is gonna fall down and it's gonna be sucked out by the outflow objects. But the nice thing that you see, this water surface is what's nice. Of course, this is like super low res. Still, the fact that this is fluid and this is doing the remeshing for you, generating this shape, is kind of cool. And you can actually print this out. There is a nice fountain that I saw earlier, teapot fountain. Yeah, this one. There are actually plenty of this teapot fountain everywhere. But the idea is really, really cool, and this is exactly my inspiration for today. This water fountain. Try making this in 3D and then perhaps print it out, or just save it as Sketchfab. You know, it's gonna be fun. So, all right. So that's the idea. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. What's really cool is that you can always go back to this simple procedural setup and then get a different result. The actual obstacle itself is really, really simple. But if you have like a nicer fountain model, you can use that kind of to cover up these basic obstacles. All right. So I'm just gonna keep it running, and I might run it with a higher resolution. But for now, that's pretty much it. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.